from small seeds come great oaks, or something like that. This is Startup, the game where you have a small company grow into a titan of the industry. Join us as we play Startups. Right, so I'm going to start with the unboxing, and this will be quite interesting because it'll be a bit of a fiddly-biddly. Okay, so starting off with the box. Yeah, I think that's it's nice. I like the colour scheme. It's sort of two colour, quite bold. It would stand well on the shelf. Oh, there we go. So we've got the Startup cards there, which are very useful. I think they are in also German, German, French, and what looks like Italian. I don't think there's English ones here. I'm just looking to see quickly. I think we don't have English manuals, but that's okay. Right, we've got the tokens inside. They're the coins for payment. Don't like that at all. They are loose and not very well coordinated. And then we've got our cards as well. Okay, well, I think that's pretty clumsy put together, but anyway. Right, join us as we will then play and review Startups. Right, so what happens is, on your turn, you have to, so this player will have to pick up a card, okay, and then they have to look at their cards and decide a few things. Now, they can decide to either invest in a company or discard the card. So if they discard the card, it will go to the pile here, and that effectively becomes the marketplace. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead basically invest in it. So I take this and I put investment there. You can invest in that without paying for it. But effectively what happens is you get this, which is an anti-monopoly card, which means you are not allowed to pick up from any of the marketplace. You are allowed to draw cards, but you're not allowed to pick up from the marketplace. So I'm going to leave that open there so we can see it. Then we go to our second player, and our second player interestingly has two giraffes, so he'll probably invest in giraffe. He's not going to drop a card. Sorry, he's got to surely pick up a card. Sorry, apologies. So I picked up a card, and obviously that's where I'm at the moment. Then the next one, I'll probably do this. I'll pick up a card here, and he's got three. So what he's going to do is he's going to drop Hippo Power Tech. So it's just to illustrate the point. So that now goes into the marketplace. So that's now a market card. I'm going to keep these together because these don't need to be on the board now, but you've seen them so you understand. And what happens is that if you want to pick up from that, you will need to put a coin on every other one that's around it, unless it's a single, in which case you don't put anything on, but we'll see as we go along. The reason also why this player's done is because that way then it kind of hides what he's got, so it's quite a clever move. Going back to this guy, he will pick up a card, and now he's got an option. So he can pick up from here, or he can obviously lay one of these down. Now, he was probably going to look for the Octo Coffee, but it's not the Octo Coffee he's got. You can see giraffes obviously been pulled, and he doesn't know what this guy's got. So what effectively I would do is, I would then go, okay, I'm going to drop giraffe into the pot, because there's only 5 of giraffe, and that really leaves it. So now there's a situation. Our guy here will pick up a card, and he picks up a Flamingo soft card, but he decides he wants to take this, so he needs to put one. Oh, actually, sorry, he can't. Interesting, he can't, because this anti-monopoly token is on his card, so he's not able to do that. So effectively, what he'll do instead is he'll lay down his giraffe second. So he's now got 2 of giraffe, and he still keeps that card because effectively he now has a monopoly on it still. No one else has got more cards than him. We come to the next player. He'll pick up a card, and okay, so he's got Octo Coffee, which he's not interested in, so he'll drop Octo Coffee there. I'm just doing this for illustration purposes, but obviously it makes sense this could be a strategy that you play. Not sure it'd work, but hey, who knows. We move to this character here. He'll take 1 card, and he's got the second EMT, the Elephant Mars Transport. 11 miles travel. Interesting. Looking at that, he decides, oh, actually he's going to take the giraffe card here. So he takes the giraffe card. Now to do that, he'll need to put 1 coin each onto those two. So they're now worth 1 coin. He'll pick that up and he'll put that down onto his table as well. Now, interestingly, at this point, what happens is if anyone else picks up from here, they will be able to pick up this coin and then drop it again, effectively being able then to pay off. So take the money effectively and then dump the asset. The problem is, obviously, later on in the game, the more issues you get with that asset being there. Now, if you have another card down here and you pick that up, you still have to pay money on there, so they will accumulate money, which is all obviously quite interesting as well. Now, there's an important point at this point to just illustrate. If, for instance, this player here who has the anti-monopoly on the Octo Coffee card picks up from the marketplace here, they don't have to put money onto the Octo Coffee because they're not allowed to effectively purchase it. So they can effectively not pay for that, but they have to put it on every other card on there. If they're just picking up Hippo Power Tech, for instance, then they don't have to put any money on it. They can just take the card and take the money as well, which is very useful indeed. Right, so now we've kind of effectively seen how we're going with the game. The thing to remember here is the end game. The end game I'll do in 2 sections so that you can see, but once all the cards have exhausted and you've seen what cards you've got in front of you, don't forget that the cards in your hand count as well. So for instance, if our friend here had his flamingo cards and he was playing against someone who had, say, 2 flamingo cards here, he would win, he would be victorious. Same as well for someone who, for instance, like the elephant Mars Travel would be the same as well as also Bow Wow Games. Obviously this is not the end game, but it's just to illustrate the point. So you count the cards in front of you and also the cards in your hand as well. So that's a very important point. Now I'll explain about the token. So then we come to the 3s, which you've probably been eyeing on the side there. What happens is at the end of the game, for instance, if let's just do an example. This guy here has the flamingo cards and he wins the flamingo. He's got the most flamingo stock. The guy over here with his flamingo cards will have to pay 2. You'll pay for every card, you pay 1 of these, but you have to flip them over and they become 3. That is very annoying, but it also is a very clever part of the game and something I really appreciate, because what it does is it means you can go for broke, and some people do that. You can also find that sometimes you are trying desperately to rein in your sort of excesses, because you'll end up going to hemorrhage because of cards. So for instance, with people like EMT, now as you can see there, he's got the number 10 on the top there. That means that's the number of cards that are in there, or Hippo, which has got 9, for instance. Those are sometimes the ones to look for more than the even like 5 or 6 and maybe even 7, depending on how it works. Now, just to note, there is another card that probably people have seen here. What happens is if you're playing more rounds, then what you can do is you can effectively use these as performance markers. So what you do, first place gets +2, second place gets +1, and then of course last place gets -1. So that means over a turn, or over a series of turns, sorry, you're able to see performance, which is quite useful and quite interesting as well. The game is actually I'll do the review after this, but I was just going to say the game has a lot going for it that it's kind of clunky. Mechanics don't really fully let you appreciate. But anyway, I'll get to a review and join me as I do that. Thank you. So I think Startups is actually a really good game with very bad mechanics and very poorly explained mechanics. Sometimes that's not the fault of either the game producer or even the video producer of the explanation video for the game, actually the gameplay, etc, etc. It's often a case of it's just that it's difficult to fully explain and express how the game works, because it's the sort of game that's more intuitive than people can imagine. So overall the game works quite smoothly. I would say it works very well with up to 5 players. 7 players I think is a bit too much, because the box suggests that you can have 3 to 7. 20 minutes is about right, and that's on any particular time. Once you get people in sort of understanding it and kind of getting the flow of it, the mechanics work pretty much smoothly and people get on with it. But I just think that the mechanics, the market mechanics can be a little clunky, and I think that they probably need to tone a little bit of those. Maybe just play with the idea of putting coins onto cards, or playing also with the idea that the market needs to be a little bit more erratic, and maybe that would be more interesting as well. You can see how people will play rounds of this. I can imagine sometimes people probably playing 10, 15, 20 rounds, because it's the sort of game that once you get into is very easy to understand. I don't really like the whole chips thing where you -1 +1, because it just doesn't really make sense. I think that, to be fair, most people will keep score elsewhere, usually on a notepad or whatever, and for them it will just be irrelevant that they've got these sort of markers which basically don't fit well into the box. The box is a mess, if I'm perfectly honest. You open up and it just falls out, which is annoying, and that in itself means it's a nightmare to sort of keep and contain. But the fact is that, and I've done today a review of the Frankly Brilliant Burgle Bros, that is a well put together box, tightly compact and tightly pieced together, so everything has a location. This doesn't have so much, so it's a bit of a pain to constantly trying to shut and sort of move stuff around in that. However, game is still very good, well worth playing. I would certainly say if you have a group of people who are novice or medium sort of games, I wouldn't say sophisticated gamers, then this is a game for you. Or if you have, say, a family, you've got you and say 2 kids, or you and your partner and a child or whatever, this game will work as well. Although the thing is, it does say 10 plus. I would stick with that. I'd actually probably say maybe even 12 plus, because there is a level of kind of market and awareness and analysis that probably needs to take place for people playing the game. Anyway, on that note, that was Startups, and I'm Simon Kennedy, and this is Game Club, and thank you for watching.